Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. We've got some new numbers from the border. According to the Border Patrol, 178,000 migrants were apprehended at the southern border in December alone. That is a record. December, one of the coldest months of the year along our southern border. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is solely focused right now on the border. It's just not the border here in the United States. It's the border between Russia and Ukraine. Joining us to talk about this is former Border Patrol Commissioner and Heritage Foundation visiting fellow. He's also a Newsmax contributor, friend of the show, Mark Morgan. Mark, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Rob.
Joining the discussion, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCoy, as well as Allison Maloney, and our guest host this morning, former German Ambassador Rick Grinnell. Great to have you on, Mark. My first question to you, primarily what we're seeing at the southern border right now is male adults ages 18 to about 45. What do you make of the fact that those numbers are overwhelmingly skewing in that direction right now? It's not just a year ago we were hearing about families. Now it's young men.
Yeah, so Rob, look, a couple of things are happening here, and that's just a slight increase. But remember, we have to put that in context, too. All those single adult numbers are going up, but so is every other demographic. Why? Because of this administration's open border policies. And you said in the first 12 months, we've seen over 2 million encounters. You add in the 600,000 gotaways and the 400,000 turnbacks, that is 3 million illegal aliens that have attempted to break into our southwest border in the first 12 months of this administration. But here's another thing, another reason we're seeing those single adults is because this administration is beginning to do the same thing with the single adults as they're doing with unaccompanied minors and families. And that's what? They're releasing them into the interior United States. We just saw footage in Brownsville where that very thing was happening.
Mark, what else is the administration not telling us about? We've seen these secret flights in the middle of the night. We're now seeing these men, women and children are supposed to be with them. What else are we not being told? And why is it so secretive?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, I think that's the question. And that's what I get frustrated. It's like, it's not just that they dismantled every effective tool and they threw away the most secure border that they've inherited in their lifetime. It's that they're lying to the American people about it at the same time. Here's one stat. I talked about the 600,000 gotaways. When was the last time that you heard anybody in the administration, Jen Psaki, mention the 600,000 gotaways? Never happens. When was the last time that you heard them talk about, in a 30-hour period, one sector of 9 apprehended 2 murderers, 2 gang members, and a pedophile? When was the last time you heard them mention that? When was the last time you heard them mention of that 600,000 gotaways that there are really bad people, there are murderers, there are rapists, there are aggravated felons among that 600,000 that are making their way to every town, city, and state? Almost everything that comes out of this administration's mouth with the southwest border is an absolute lie.
Mark, the Biden administration is facing a lot of criticism for focusing on Ukraine border while the U.S. border is a disaster and getting worse, as you're saying. Is this a valid critique?
It is. Rick, I'm glad you mentioned this. So we heard the Deputy National Secretary, I talk about Ukraine, actually say that one of the most fundamental principles of all nations is sovereignty of their borders. Yeah. That came out of his mouth. Now, look, the circumstances are clearly different, but the concept is not. Sovereignty, regardless of what's happening on the other side, is critically important. I agree with them. It is a fundamental aspect of every nation. Meanwhile, we have the cartels that we know that control everything that enters our southwest border from Mexico. We know that drugs are pouring in, human trafficking is expanding, and it increased our national security. If that doesn't jeopardize our national security and our sovereignty, I don't know what is.
People all around the country are watching us and talking about what's happening at the border, but you can tell them more about what's happening in their own school districts and in their own communities when these people arrive in the middle of the night on flights to small airports, unannounced even to local authorities. Tell us more about why this isn't a border crisis, it's a crisis for everybody.
Yeah, Betsy, I tell you, that is the question. And that's one of the other false narratives I get really frustrated, that they're trying to mislead the American people. What happens on our southwest border does not stay there. I mean, you're spot on. That's why we say every town, city, and state is a border town, city, and state. Look, the single adults that we just seen on recently that they're releasing, by the way, under the cloak of darkness. Look, the reality is, let me give you one. So as we're trying to shut down America still because of COVID-19 and the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates, they're releasing individuals. They're not testing them. And there's no vaccine mandate.
Yeah.
Again, single adults now, they interviewed a migrant who said, hey, basically, he got up, had a cup of coffee, paid a coyote a couple of $1,000s, and a few hours later, he was given a plane ticket at taxpayers' expense to be released anywhere in the United States he wanted to go with no testing and no vaccine mandate. At the same time, when they make it to our towns, cities, and states, most of them immediately become a recipient of state and federal assistance. Free healthcare, free education, the list goes on.
Well, I saw the left, and we got to leave it there, Mark, but I saw the left framing the fact that in 2021, over 2 million illegal immigrants crossed our southern border, 14 of which were on terror watch lists. And the left tried to frame it as though 14 wasn't a big number. 9/11, September 11th, there were 13 hijackers. 13. And these are only the terrorists that we know about, the ones that we apprehended. That number could be a lot bigger. Mark Morgan, great to see you again. Look forward to having you on again real soon. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.